Hello and welcome back to the Royal Survivor 45 podcast. I am your host King, joined here by King's mom.
Hello.
How you doing, Mom?
I'm doing great. I am with my favorite son, talking about my favorite program.
Yay! Well, tell me, episode 3, Survivor 45, how'd you feel about it?
I felt pretty good about it. It kept my interest. Each time it seems like they just get better and better. And it's probably because the players are getting used to playing.
Yeah.
And, they're learning as they're going along. So I liked it. Excuse me.
Oh no,
I'm so excited.
We gotta start over now. Whoops. So, fallout from previous tribal, that's as every episode starts.
Say it together.
Brandon voted out.
Okay.
Yay! I mean, boo, my name's Brandon.
Yeah. It was pretty much inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and even there was like no arguing or anything because I was just like, yeah, it had to be him.
Yeah.
So, but one note is Sabaya, she did give back Emily's shot in the dark.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
she could have kept, but she gave it back to her to continue their trying to trust each other's thing.
And Emily seemed grateful about both things. The fact that they kept her, voted Brandon out, and that Sabaya gave her back the shot in the dark.
She's basically saying, even though she seems like the first person to cut and jump ship, she's like, I'm with you guys. We're Lulu strong. So, which is kind of rough to say because there's only 4 of them left compared to everybody else. But at least they're like bonding and having this unity. So,
however, there was that where Emily questioned if Sabaya voted because only 2 votes were read.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, because she's doing the math, Sabaya's trying to shut her up. And well, they all kind of know except for her because she doesn't know about the advantage yet. The fact that she has the idol in wax. So, yeah, she's like, why are there only 3 votes? And she was trying to deduce that. And
well, she did ask her afterwards and said, did you vote?
And she lied to her and said, I did. I don't. Maybe Jeff just knew what they all were or whatever. And she's like, well, Jeff doesn't do it that way. So,
and Emily's not dumb. So I think she knows.
Yeah.
Well, now she really knows. So
now she really knows. So, okay. So we jump from them. I believe we then go to Bello, the Blue Tribe, where I think her name's Kelly. She's the one with the tattoo. She looks pretty strong. She is sitting down and talking to Jake.
Kendra.
That's Kendra?
Yeah.
There's a Kelly and a Kendra. I'm getting confused here.
Yeah, that was Kendra. She's the, what is she, the astrologer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Kendra. That whole thing.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
Then, she's talking to Jake and basically saying, like, it feels a lot like it's us 3 girls and you 3 guys. But her and him, they end up like bonding, it seems like. They get along, and Jake shows that he's like a really nice guy. Early on I thought he might be kind of like ditzy because he was just so out and about being a lawyer and everything and just like almost like bragging about it, but he seems more down to earth and everything, and he even says, he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I just, just haven't had the time to really like talk or whatever. So,
well, but I think what started that bonding too was him falling. Remember? He was blowing on the fire and then he kind of like fell forward, and she was right there.
And that's happened before. They inhale smoke. That's what happened to
Michael.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, in the second season, he burned his hands because of that. A couple people have had that where they nearly faint from the smoke or whatever. So and I guess that did lead into them talking for a while
because she was checking on him. She's like, she saw him fall, and she's like, are you all right? Because he was actually shaking a little too.
Yeah, I think it scared him or something.
Yeah. So they're bonding. Yes.
And we do know, like, the guys talk, but it seems like the women on that tribe do have an alliance, basically saying like, us girls, we work well, kind of thing. That's what they established earlier in previous episodes, trying to make like a girl thing. But they also tried to pull in Brando, and he supposedly says he's with them. And then she's telling, it's kind of funny, they're basically they just keep adding people on, because she's like, I like Jake, I can't vote Jake. And they're like, well, Jake's nice. And so, of course, Katurah doesn't like Bruce, and she doesn't trust him. But so they're basically all agreeing, just get rid of Bruce if it comes down to it. So, Katurah even saying, like, everyone seems to like him, but the minute they say something bad about him, I'm pouncing on that to make them remember it. And it's like,
Yeah.
it seems like she has a bit of like a hard-on for him at this point. Like,
She has.
I get he's goofy, but like he hasn't done anything really. He maybe they say, oh, he's a little obnoxious or whatever, but he's not that bad.
No,
He's a nice guy. And of course we know. So okay, Kelly is the younger girl with the glasses. Then
Mhm.
her and Brando seem to be the closest, and they consider themselves in the middle. As much
Yeah.
as she likes being with the girls, she told him she'd be willing to go with him with the guys if it came down to it, kind of thing.
Mhm.
That's what it sounds like.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and then too with the guys, they were. There was a part in the show where Jake, Bruce, and Brando were fishing,
Mhm.
and then all the girls were back at camp and talking, and it
Right.
did seem like guys, girls.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, Kelly from the girls and Brando from the boys. I think they're maybe even the youngest.
I
of
think
that
so.
group,
Yeah.
and they're bonding, and yeah,
We've seen
so-
where they're basically like, I'm with you all the way, and we'll decide what happens. Because the men don't really think any of the women are with him, but the women, there was a scene where Brando's like, he's putting his buff on like around his waist like the women do.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's like, I can be masculine with the guys and I can be a little feminine with the ladies. Even though it seemed like he was embarrassed, he was still goofing around.
He
with
was
them
just
and stuff.
goofing around,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's being a silly guy. So
Yeah.
I think, it's smart that they're both like in tight in these like factions, but really they're kind of just together, and then they can kind of sway whichever way they need to. So,
Mhm.
which I think is a better position to be in rather than a 3-3 split sort of thing.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
it also just means like it seems like everybody pretty much likes Brando. Their guys are with him and the girls want him with them, so he's just kind of in with everybody. So
It's a good spot to be.
yeah, it's better to be liked by everybody, at least early on. Later on, people go, well, they're too nice and
Yeah.
everybody loves them, we gotta get rid of them. So,
Right,
but
right.
early on, it means you're not like a liability then. So,
Right.
or so annoying they get rid of you.
Yes.
Any other comments about Bello, Mother Dearest?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. We only spend so much time with them, but so then we go. So yeah, we were with Lulu, we were with Bello, and then we go over to Reba, and they seem to be like the tribe that's like the most well off, but also like the ones that seem to be scheming the most against one another. I don't know, because so Austin has an advantage. He has the Beware advantage, and so he's trying to find the immunity idol.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't vote until then. Drew he's got 2 advantages. He gets one this
Yeah, I was gonna
episode.
say, yeah.
But currently he sits with he can leave the one where he can leave tribal if he needs to and not vote and save himself.
Oh, right.
And everyone at camp knows he has that.
Right.
But he's the only one who knows about Austin's advantage. And so they go out in the woods and they're able
That's
to
right.
interpret
They got
the
to
message.
dig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and because there's like an X marks a spot. It's interesting that these Beware advantages, even though they all say like translate it or whatever, they all have you do different things. Like,
Mhm.
because we can say even they don't find the idol. They go searching for it, and Austin does a terrible job of trying to like stay on guard. And they're
Yeah.
the 2 people in their alliance with them, Julie, the slightly older woman, and Dee, the woman with the really long toe. That's sadly all I really know her for right now. They catch Drew digging, and at first he kind of tries to hide it, saying he gets a little flustered. He's like, "Well, we saw Sifu out here digging, and
Yeah.
we thought maybe he was looking, so we were looking." And Julie kind of was like, "Oh, okay," and Dee kind of goes and like, "I think they're lying to me." She even says it feels like a boyfriend like cheating on me and getting caught kind of thing. Like it made her very suspicious of them.
Mhm.
But then eventually they decide to tell the women like that they have the clue, and they go looking, and the women find it.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, or
I
they
love
find
that.
the next clue. Technically, they find the hammer.
Right,
So
yeah.
because and then it tells them you need to smash a fake rock open. Apparently,
But I like that whole thing where the women were digging
Mhm.
and they're like, "What is this?" And they find a rope, and then they have to pull the rope out of the ground, and at the
Yeah.
end is this hammer.
And then smart enough, I think they bury it or something because they said we gotta get rid of this. They get rid of the
The
rope.
rope.
Yeah, so no one will find, because why is there rope in the middle of the jungle kind of thing? So,
Yeah, yeah.
And then because Dee even says, she's like, okay, they came clean to us about it finally. Like Drew eventually telling them it's Austin's thing, and I didn't want to tell you it was his thing because he trusted me, and it wasn't, it made things shaky, but they did come clean. And Dee eventually says, she's like, we run up to them and we give them the hammer. She's like, we could have ran and tried to get the idol without them knowing, but we decided to show them the faith back.
Yeah.
And according to her, it solidified them more because now they're being open more with one another.
Yeah.
I feel like Drew is like almost too open at times because I like him, but he's constantly being put in these positions where he kind of has to reveal the things, otherwise it gets him in trouble. Like he went on the excursion and he came back and told everyone he got the advantage. Well, if he lied and said nothing happened, they won't believe him and think he has an advantage anyway. So at least there, and that's what made Austin tell him about his advantage and stuff. So although I think it's smarter to conceal what you have, if you have no other choice and people are already suspicious, it's better to just come clean about it. So, and so then they end up breaking the rock and they get the immunity idol. So.
Right.
And they read that this idol works, I think this is a nuke type, where it only works at the next tribal council. However, at the next tribal, I don't know if you have the rules on here.
Yeah, it's what it is okay. Yeah, it only works at the next one. However, if you give up your vote, then it'll work at up until the merge.
Yes.
And then if you give up your vote again, it will work up until the final 5.
Which is when most immunity idols work until, and then they end at 5. Yeah. So it goes from a 1 use all the way to a regular immunity idol if you sacrifice your vote. It's actually in part making the immunity idol weaker because you have to give up a vote at some point in order to keep it working. So,
yes.
Excuse me. So I think it's definitely interesting because, they have to jump through so many hoops to get these things. The fact that it could only work once or something, like, you're kidding me. And although the wording was a little weird, so I wasn't sure because it says it works until all players are on the same beach, or the same camp. And so I was concerned. I'm like, does that mean, because you don't know when the merge is coming, so does that mean as soon as you merge, it doesn't work anymore? Or what, you merge and then that first tribal, it's good until? I would think it would be good
That's
to that
what I
first
would
tribal.
think.
Yeah.
And then if you don't want to use it then, you give up your vote.
Right.
And then you have use of it until the final 5.
Which is, though, risky because normally the merge is like a big, like position-defining vote. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah.
Whenever that comes into play. So yeah, they're solidified. We don't really get, see, that's the thing. We don't get a lot from Sifu or J Maya. We don't really hear from them much. The other 2 members of the Reba tribe.
Right.
Which, based on how little we're seeing them, it really makes me feel like they might not be important players in this. I could be wrong and they could change that or they could become more relevant at time, but it's just like, we're seeing a lot from these 4, this big alliance, and we're not getting, because they say you can kind of tell who's important and stuff based on who you see from. In Russell's season, he talks more than anybody, and you're always seeing into his head. When Rob was in control, sure, everybody else was like newer, so maybe they didn't have as much to say, but he was in control of everything, and so you'd always see from a main character perspective. So on Reba, we hear a lot from Drew and Austin, and so it would lead me to believe they're gonna play well and everything, and the show wants you to think highly of them. Even Dee now, we're starting to see more of her, which is good.
Julie.
Yeah, Julie too. Julie's gotten past the point where, the older people gotta go. She's already solidified with these people where she's not viewed as just because you're older, we can't keep you or whatever. So
I actually thought they were going to highlight Sifu more because he's a different kind of character.
Yeah.
He does the Tai Chi.
Tai Chi, yeah.
Yeah. I thought I'd be seeing more of that. He'd be talking about more of that. He'd be more of a force.
So did I. He seemed quite like a character, not in a bad way, just someone who stands out. Especially he has that one Tai Chi outfit or whatever.
Yeah.
And because he was pretty relevant in the first episode. I think Jeff talked to him on the mat even.
Yeah.
And they caught him looking for the idol subtly.
Yeah.
But then after that, we just haven't really seen him at all unless the whole group is together talking. So
yeah.
I
just thought he'd be like Jam Jam from last season.
Yeah. because we saw a lot of Jam Jam, and he was a quirky guy that could win you over with his personality. So, and I thought that of Sifu. I'm like, okay, this guy's either going to be obnoxious or like funny, and we haven't seen either from him really, just a little bit. So,
or I thought he'd almost be like Coach, where he's into the, how can
meditating
I
and spiritual
and doing the
stuff.
Tai Chi on the beach and getting them all involved in that. That's what I pictured
like
when
quirky.
I heard about him.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. There's still time.
Oh,
but you never
third
know.
episode.
Okay, so that's all that. So we can go on to the challenges. So for this episode, there was actually a reward challenge. Sometimes there's only one challenge. Sometimes there's two. So here it's reward. What's it for, Mom?
Nice big fruit platter because they're all starving.
Right. Oh yeah. The first tribe to win gets a huge amount of fruit. Second tribe to finish gets some fruit. Third, of course, gets nothing. They lose.
Plus, the winning tribe sends one person to raid another tribe's camp, which means they can take what they want from their camp.
Yeah, they can pick one item to bring back with them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And the challenge. We've seen similar of this before. It's where there's a long beam above you, and then there's like this like rope maze that your feet go into, and you throw a ball onto it, and it rolls down, and then you need to race under and catch the ball to proceed. Basically.
Right.
I would be horrible at this. I feel like because I'm bad at throwing.
Well, you're not even. Yeah, you are throwing it up, and then it rolls.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to be quick-footed because it's almost like. When you see those, the tires together, like the football players, when they have to hop in the tire holes, that's kind of what the rope is below you. You have to jump in and out of this rope thing.
Good running accuracy.
Yeah. So you catch it, throw it in a basket.
Yeah, and then the next person goes, and then once all four people, because for the tribes with more people, a couple people sit out, then they have to throw one of the balls in a hoop, and it'll bring up 3 like posts, and then you need to land 3 rings on those posts.
Right.
And Lulu, they blow through the first part.
Yes.
The first 3 to go, they do it in the first time, and they all of them even nail just throwing the ball up. Emily, I believe, fails once, but then she makes up for it on the second go.
Yeah.
And Caleb, MVP, he gets them the win. He lands all 3 rings and everything.
I got here 3 exclamation point. Lulu wins.
Finally, they've been winless, and now they finally pulled one off. So they get the big fruit platter, and they get to do the raid. And then who came in second?
Reba
came in second. So for the first time, Bello lost for once. So yeah, Lulu won. And then they choose Caleb because he's the most social person. He actually volunteers to go.
Yeah, I would like him. I do like him.
I think he's a salesman, so.
Oh, I think, yeah. It's like when I look at these people, I think he would be so nice to have a conversation with because he's soft-spoken, but he's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely social.
He'll be, he's like, great to have on your team. I guarantee you as soon as the merge hits, he'll be like Joe. Just everyone's got to get rid of Caleb because he's so nice and he's very athletic. If anyone's going to go on like a winning streak, I think it would be him getting that necklace over and over. But then that can also I think he'll be a big target at the same time.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens when we get there.
I hope not, but I think you're right.
His own tribe is like, oh, he's great, so they love him and everything, but just when it's every man for himself. So, so they win. He goes to the boat that's getting ready to take him, and he finds a little note to read, and it gives him this advantage. And it says you have to give this to somebody at the tribe you go to. It's a goodwill advantage. So it's, trying to make bonds with people later on.
Right.
He can't keep it for himself. So.
Right.
So he goes.
Yeah.
To Reba. Okay.
He goes to Reba.
Yeah, to raid them. What does he take from them?
He actually, he takes their fishing gear, even though they don't have fire to cook fish.
Right. Yeah.
But it's really all they had worth
I think he
taking.
even said it's all they really have worth taking.
Yeah.
I guess maybe he could have taken their flint. I don't know if he could have done that.
Oh, I don't know about that because that's part of the game.
Yeah, and Jeff takes it like from you when you lose, so maybe he can't take that.
I think it had to be something. like I said, that's part of the game.
It's a cool idea, but it seemed, that was like the really only reward. We're kind, and because they're not given as much as they used to be given at the beginning, there's not a lot to take. So it almost seems like this raid thing should have happened later down the road when there were more rewards.
I even thought of that when he said raid their camp. I'm thinking, what? Wait, did they get something I don't know about? Do they have pillows and blankets?
Yeah. Or are they just hoping he'll raid a player and push them off the boat or something and get them like kicked off the show or something? I don't know. Like something more interesting. I don't know. But so he goes to Reba and he stands around. He talks to everybody.
Yeah.
And they like him, but a few of them are even like, oh, we see what he's doing. He's a nice guy, but he's trying to get information out of you. A couple of them say that. So, but he does try to talk to everyone individually, which, yes, you want to do that, but the fact that he just says it, can I talk to all of you one-on-one? That sounds a little suspicious to me, that he obviously he's trying to pull somebody here,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I took it that way. I mean, because think if someone is very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're in a group setting, that person's not going to talk at all, and you're not going to get to know them at all. And they could be your
equal
best buddy once you merge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess because that would be like me in a group setting. I wouldn't be the first one to be like, oh, Caleb, let me, and I'd be sitting back. I'd probably be listening because that's what I do a lot. I don't talk much unless I'm spoken to. So if I have a one-on-one, I'm going to talk more. I think he was smart by doing that. Yes, it may made him look suspicious.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
And I guess you could think, well, he's going to try and do that anyway, no matter what, because however long he's there. He even tells them, I'm going to take, he's like, I'm going to take the fishing equipment. I think he leaves them the spear.
Oh, yes, he does.
But he takes, the fins and stuff with him. So the net and all that stuff that they were given.
Yeah.
And then eventually he grabs, he's talking one-on-one. He starts talking to Drew. And Drew's very, middle of the road with information. He doesn't tell people nothing, but he tries not to let on everything. Thank goodness he didn't tell them about all the advantages and stuff they have.
Yeah.
But he is talking about, stuff to the point where Caleb decides to give him the goodwill advantage.
Right.
So, and I believe the goodwill advantage, it lets you get your vote back if you lose it, right?
Let me look at my notes here. So that wasn't the one with the hammer.
No, that was the immunity idol.
Oh, that was the immunity idol.
He gets that thing and he says, Drew, I want to give this to you. So Drew's like, oh, now I have another thing. So
yeah. And what'd you say it was?
It's the goodwill advantage. It's something along the lines of if you lose your vote, you get it back.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember.
Because this current era of Survivor, that's a lot of what they do. You can risk your vote or lose your vote kind of thing. Even with the shot in the dark, you give up your vote to try and save yourself. So
right.
So that's a big thing. So I guess this could be very helpful. My mind instantly went to, well, if Austin, if they need a specific number of votes, if Austin gives his up to make his immunity idol stronger, could he in theory also play that and then still vote anyway? Because he basically gives up his vote, but then he can get it back anyway and still keep the immunity idol. So
using Austin's goodwill advantage, you're saying. Is that what you mean?
Well, if Drew gave it to him to
use.
That's
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Drew is their whole foursome is this is our stuff.
Right.
If we need to save, at least for now. Of course, normally it's if whoever finds it, they have it unless they give it to somebody. I don't think you can really steal that stuff from people. I know you can go through their bags and see if they have it, but I don't think you're allowed to like if someone digs up an immunity idol, unless they tell someone, because I've never seen someone go, oh, it's right here, I'm going to steal it.
Oh, no, I don't think they can do that.
I don't think you can take from people.
They can search them and go, he's got it.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Unless the person says, I want you to have it, and gives it to them one-on-one.
Sure.
But so whatever they hold is theirs, but they're claiming that they will use it on one another to keep them all in the game.
Right.
So it's just something I had. So yeah, that's Caleb strengthening that alliance more, but hopefully, having allies. Basically saying when we merge, if yellow and red team up against blue kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Maybe. Who knows if that happens or not. But so he gives him that, and then he takes fishing gear and he leaves and he goes back. But while he's gone, we go to Lulu and we get some subterfuge.
You're talking about voting him out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Who starts that? Sabaya?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Her and Sean.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. yeah, and it was shown that Sabaya and Caleb were like tight.
Mm-hmm.
So she's really playing the game
Yeah.
because she finds him to be a huge threat.
Yeah,
So-
those three really have been making all the decisions for that tribe up till that point, and she tells him flat out, "I'm not going to want to sit at the end of the game with him because
Mhm.
he's so likable and he's good at the game too." Which I understand, but this is another one of those things where you're getting rid of the strong guy way too early.
Yes.
He's your ally, but so I get it, but it just I don't know. They claim that it'd be too hard to get rid of him later, but if they can see it and they're with him, wouldn't everyone else be able to see it, So just wait till everyone else is around and they go, "Oh, we want to get rid of him." So then you can get rid of him and he won't know that it was your idea or something,
Yeah.
It seems way too early for this backstabbing stuff. That's why I don't like these people are way too eager to be like, "Oh, I don't want to sit with you at the end." Who says you're sitting at the end if you get rid of them too early,
But then again, they got to get rid of somebody. They got
I
4
know.
people.
I know. Yeah, and if
So,
it comes...
not that I want him gone.
No.
Him and Emily, I mean, Sean for me he's okay.
We don't get a lot from him.
We don't get a lot, but Emily is a big personality. Caleb's a big personality, and I like them. The
Mhm.
fact that he helped her
Mm-hmm.
by showing, that she was kind of being a biatch.
Yeah.
And then she curbed it, and it helped her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they have a bit of a bond now.
Her and him, yeah.
Her and him.
Sabaya's still like, she's whatever. It seems like she holds one heck of a grudge. So,
Yeah.
but yes, they do. Either way, they do grab Emily, and was kind of prepared to be the next one anyway.
Right.
But they tell her, "You vote with us to take out Caleb, and you stay, and you're with us, because we can't have him." She's like, "Oh," because at first she gets excited knowing that, she can stay longer. And I believe that's even where Sabaya pulls out the little tiki made of wax and says, "I have an immunity idol in here. I can't vote. So we still don't have Flint. So if we have to go again, I'm just going to drop it in the big fire pit and hope it melts quick enough." So,
Right.
So they finally let her in. And at least at that point, Emily's like, "This is great. They're finally letting me in on everything. I'm finally with them." Then we go to the immunity challenge.
Yep. Where they one of them big carts, heavy carts that they have to, so they have to race out with a cart and get 2 keys.
Off of poles, using another pole. I remember, they gotta push them off.
That's right, yeah. And then they get to a point where they have to take the cart apart to get it through like an obstacle.
Yeah, like a wall with holes in it.
And then build it back.
It's got heavy puzzle pieces on it,
That's right,
too.
they picked up puzzle pieces along the way, yeah. And so, put it back together, put the puzzle pieces back on, and then get to the mat.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And then one person's a caller, and they do a big 3D, cube puzzle with the big, 50-pound pieces or whatever.
Right.
And they start building it. Early on, they're all pretty even, it seems like. They all get to the puzzle at, the same time. And they start calling and building it up. I think Reba's actually in last when they get to the puzzle, but within, a couple minutes... Jeff even says it's another blowout. Bello and Reba are both 2/3 of the way done, and there's 2 pieces set in place for Lulu. And of course, Lulu loses again.
Yeah.
I will note, and I saw people online talking about this, instead of positive music, da 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 da, for the winning tribes, a lot of it's sad music, and the camera is focused on Emily, who was the caller for that. So we're watching her perspective here, which will go into what happens later.
I didn't get the music. I didn't.
Oh, you didn't say. I kind of noticed that because it was.
I didn't notice.
Oh, it was very sad, feeling rather than, hey, these 2 guys.
Wah, wah.
well, I mean, in terms of it's not like I'm going completely off of the edit. I still go off of what we see and who I like. But I do note these things of we're in this moment, we're not watching them celebrate. We're watching how she feels losing. Even before Jeff says, "How do you guys feeling? You got to vote another person off." That's even before that. She apologizes to them and everything. But yeah, it's a blowout. And so once again, red and blue don't have to go to tribal. Yellow once again does.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get back to camp. They start skirmishing.
Yeah, and what we find out is Emily goes to Caleb,
Mm-hmm.
which I loved.
Me too.
I'm like, yes, I was hoping she would
Mhm.
have some loyalty to him.
He
'cause
helped
he did
her.
help her.
Yeah.
But what's funny about it is like, he had a conversation with Sabaya and Sean, I think, about how they were going to go for Emily.
Getting rid of her, how to go about it, because he's like, who do we tell her to vote for?
Yeah.
And I think Sabaya says, we'll tell her you. And and then you tell her it's me.
Yeah.
And we'll vote her,
Yeah.
And it's like this whole triangle, and I'm trying to like do the math, like, okay, yeah.
Because normally you don't want to say yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as she said, we'll tell her you, he kind of looked at her, and but then she just turned around and said, and then you tell her me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I don't know that I'd ever want to put my name out there to be the person to be voted for.
Because then everybody else, if there's an issue, they know you already have votes against you.
Right. And just
However, there's also, because we've seen in the past, like, for example, just to relate, in Second Chance, there's in the one tribe, there's the very big dominant alliance, and they're planning on who to get rid of out of like just a couple people. And Savage, he's like, yeah, we're all voting for this person, but he tells that Sierra, he's like, and then we'll tell them it's you. And he's like, and that's the end of it. And she gets pissed because she's like, he just says it how it is and just puts my name up. Why don't he put his name up? And then Savage got blindsided because of it, because
I like that one.
And it was
deserved
great.
it.
And he did. He was becoming like a cocky prick in that time.
Yes.
I'm just saying, like, that's an example of like, no one volunteered. They just said, yeah, we'll tell him you, so that can also bite you. At least in Sabaya's case, she said, yeah, we'll tell her you, but then she also kind of put herself up, to try and, I think, take some of that like blame away or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you said, Emily goes to Caleb because she doesn't feel, she's like, I could go the normal way and just say, 3-1, that's easy, but he showed, he was the first person to connect to me.
Yes.
And he even said, it'd be easy to just let her be on the outskirts, but instead, if I go to her, she'll be loyal to me. And here she is coming to him.
Yeah, he was right.
And she tells it, because he's thinking it's her, and she's telling him, this isn't me saving myself, this is me trying to save you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm voting for Sabaya, and you should too.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells her he'll do it no problem, but, and we could tell he's like kind of conflicted. It really seemed to me that he was like, she's just trying to make a move, still gonna vote for Emily, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But he says he doesn't know what he's gonna do.
Right. And that's all for
show.
effect.
Yeah. He could have said that, hours ago, and they're putting it in right before they go to tribal or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I think when they're walking to that tribal council where they, Jeff's sitting there and they're walking in, I think they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But they edit it that way so that you're like, oh gosh, I wonder what they're gonna do.
Yeah, it'd be pretty boring if like if you got 6 people, if 4 of them tell the camera, I'm voting for blah blah blah. So then the tribal there's no shock whatsoever.
Right. Yeah.
That's one of the biggest thrills, knowing who goes home. So
right.
So yeah, as soon as they get there, Sabaya just walks in and plop, drops her little wax figure in the fire, and it starts to melt really quick.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny is she brought tools to handle it in the fire.
Oh yeah, she has sticks and stuff to pick it up and everything.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, how's she going to get it out of there? And then she pulls out these 2 wooden
I thought about that
sticks to like move it around where she's not touching. She can't touch it.
Well, I didn't even realize like whatever idol is in there that it would be wrapped in metal, because I'm like, well, every time someone brings Jeff like a fake idol and he says this is not an immunity, he throws it in there and it burns. I'm like, so how do you like, I'm like, won't it just eat her idol? But it was like a little scroll in metal or whatever. It was barely even an idol. It was like paper in metal, but I guess that counts. So
yeah.
And then of course hers is like the other one. You can only use it this time, or you gotta give up your vote and keep going. So she still had to give up her vote if she wanted to keep it.
Yeah. And she found that out at the voting podium.
Yeah, she walked up and read it right there.
Yeah, and so she's like, what are you doing to me, And so she chose.
She sacrifices her vote,
yes,
believing it'll be 2-1 against Caleb. So.
Right. And
so she has no vote. first vote is for Caleb, and you see his eyes go kind of wide. And then next vote's for Sabaya, which is Emily's vote. We see her write that down.
Right.
And then the third vote is for Sabaya, and she couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Caleb chose to vote for her, and you see him grin, realizing he made the right call, and Emily was with him. And Sean is shocked. She got blindsided.
Sean was blindsided.
He looked like scared almost, like they're gonna throw him into that fire pit or something.
He was not in on anything.
No. And then, but Sabaya took it in great stride. She's like, "Oh, I just did not see that coming." Even in her end interview, she's like,
she's good sport.
Yeah,
yeah.
And she goes home with the idol in her pocket, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Which she was pretty confident, so I get why she didn't play it. It wasn't like a stupid thing or whatever. But yeah, they couldn't even draw it at 2-2 because she gave up her vote. So that was by far the best tribal so far because, well, the first one, the person quit, and the second vote was completely obvious who it should be. This is finally where real strategy came into play.
Yeah. Well, you know what about that also is when Caleb's name was called.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, they show Emily, and she has this defeated look on her face, and she's looking at Caleb like, oh no.
Yeah. And even saying like, you see, it's either you, if you didn't vote because, going off of what I said.
Yeah.
It's very, the more I see from this show, well, especially because they keep losing, we see so much of them already, it really feels like Emily is going far in this. She went from being a very obvious, like, oh, she should be the first person voted off, to this girl could take it all the way, possibly, especially with the way the show frames her. So,
yes.
Not that that's a guarantee. There's some people where you don't see a lot of them and then they win anyway. It's not a guarantee, but at the very least, if she's important in the show's eyes, it means she's going to go the distance. And she's completely grown on me. I'm like rooting for her at this point.
Me too.
So.
Yeah. I mean, Caleb and her are probably my two favorites. And we're seeing a lot of them because they're the only ones at Tribal Council.
Well, that too. Because like they check in on all the camps, but then whoever goes to Tribal, they basically get that second to last segment between commercials of all the strategy and all the TV time. And then they go to Tribal where they talk more and stuff. So they get the last fourth of the show all to themselves because the show wants you to get as much out of them as you can before one of them leaves. So
right. Right. But yeah, right now, they're my favorites.
Oh, well, we could talk about that. Like, who are your... I asked you last time. I guess we could do it again. Who's your three that either you think are going to win or you really want to win? Yeah, kind of.
Well, I just said it. I mean, Emily has grown leaps and bounds for me. I did not like her that first episode, and now I really like her. And she's very smart. And so her, Caleb... Gosh, I'd have to think of a third. Like I said, they're really standing out to me. I have to look at the names here in my notes. Well, Sabaya's gone. Not that she was one of my favorites. Yeah, isn't that funny? How I just came across her name. Kendra? I kind of like her. I do tend to like kind of I don't even know what you call them. Like,
the more unique personalities.
That's a good way of putting it. She's into astrology.
Yeah.
But she's so nice.
Oh, she's very pleasant. Yeah.
And but she's playing the game.
Yes.
She's not naive.
No.
So I'll say her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to, because I don't want to just copy you, but
well, no.
It's hard not to.
We are related, so we're going to have,
Yeah, Emily has completely... I early on, like even in the first episode, I'm like, if she's not the first person voted off, I think she'll be interesting to see how she progresses, and she's winning me over. I feel this like underdog thing from her to an extent. And she's not even an underdog anymore, but she always feels like she's battling upwards against things. Yep. Even there, she took a risk and it paid off. She saved her closer ally. So, so I'll say her. I'm gonna say Caleb, and I'm gonna say Drew. I feel like Drew. I like him. I also relate to him. He's like a college, he's either a college student or college graduate. I think he's like 22, 23. He's a nice guy. He seems quite smart. He's getting these advantages and he's trying to like build these alliance. He's playing in a way I think I would try to play. So I kind of relate to him, and he just seems like a good guy. Part of me worries he's being set up to be like a threat to get taken down kind of thing. I don't know. We'll see. I feel like he'll go a good distance at least. I would like for him. I'm like, whoa, I hope he wins kind of thing. But just the way like we see him do these smart things, but then he gets caught in like a dumb social situation, and then you have Dee like in her like chat, basically like criticizing him instead of building him up. So it makes me think like, oh, he'll be like a threat to be, like in the eyes of, like if you're watching, like the main character, Emily or Caleb, needs to take down this threat rather than he'll be, the guy to win it or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll just, throw, my hat in with him for right now as my 3.
Okay.
So we share 2 of the same 3, but, and we're with them a lot. If we don't see a lot of these 2 tries because they don't lose a lot.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't know them as well as I feel like I know Lulu.
Yeah, we spend so much time with them, and we keep losing them though. So now
we like the losers.
Yeah. Well, I will just say real quickly, moving on to what we see in the next preview. Jeff says, drop your buffs.
Yeah. And
it makes sense. Really, you're going to keep competing 6 to 6 to 3.
Right.
Now we're going to have like 6 people sitting out at challenges and stuff. I mean, they might go 2 tribes. It seems, I believe there's 15 left now, so it's probably going to be 3 tribes of 5 or something.
That would be good.
To even it out. But it also hopefully means we'll see more of everybody because now everybody's getting swapped around. So
I like when this is done. Well, the only time I don't like when this is done is when you have a really good core aligned tribe that I like. And then when they drop the buffs, I'm like, no!
They all get split up, yeah.
But I don't have that or see that,
Yeah, the only tried and true alliance is that foursome on Reba. And even them, it's more like almost 2 twosomes,
yes.
Like if Drew and Austin stay together, they'll be happy even if they don't have the women with them kind of thing. And I hope they'll be together, and I kind of hope Dee and Julie will stay together, but it's not like the end of the world if they do. And there's still hope that anybody can make it kind of thing. There isn't anybody who's like, oh, we're in complete control or whatever. Of course, this could be a downside where if everybody knows you have an advantage and now suddenly they're against you or whatever, it could work against you at that point. Got to see what happens. I don't like when they do like the mix-ups too often or too early because then you don't get enough time. But when you have this tribe that just keeps losing, to save those characters, you got to move them around.
Yeah,
so,
I think it's a good time for it.
And it'll be fair to everybody because, depending on who you get matched with, you could still win. And because Lulu won that reward challenge, they are the best people who were left of that tribe. So, all 3 left are physically capable and they're all pretty smart. So
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all. This is definitely the best episode so far. Like you said, it'll probably just keep getting better and better,
Yeah. I'm looking forward to, well, I guess it would be, next Wednesdays. Because normally when they do something like that, they're dropping the buffs, you got these different personalities now put together, and that's very interesting to me.
New dynamics will emerge, and new people are going to start taking one another out. So, we'll see what happens. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening. It has been a pleasure being your podcast, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.